Yes, we did. One example of that was just we saw just how we were one of our lowest strands is main idea. And when we drilled down and started looking at that, and it starts in kindergarten as topic, and it builds to main idea. And in our vertical teams, we meet on Thursdays. We call them Adventure Thursdays because we have some of our grade levels that are not departmentalized. And so they kind of chose who wanted to take over and really be in on that reading conversation, writing, math, science. But we meet every Thursday, and that's where we're really digging in. We're looking at our data, third, fourth, fifth, and there's a common trend with all of our lower performing texts there. And we're taking those into those Thursday collaborations, and we're really drilling down and talking about what does that look like in kinder, all the way to the question stems that we're getting. And that's where we saw that we didn't have an alignment in that one standard in particular. You know, they were saying, well, what is it mostly about? But that didn't align with how it was asked in the terminology later on, and we did. It was a big disconnect, and we could see that in our data. So I think it was just being very intentional, letting the data do the talking whenever we got to those vertical collaborations. And then also, you know, we're looking at developing like actual school-wide systems that are going to address some of our weakest areas, and we've very intentionally chosen trainings and topics to help do that. So writing is one of our weakest areas, and I think most of us are really struggling with that. And so we found what some of our more successful sister campuses were utilizing, and we've gone to those trainings like 6+1 writing all the way, all grade levels, to where we can have a common vocabulary and common understanding of what that should look like from pre-K all the way through 5th grade. Another thing that we did, we've seen that part of our struggle too was we were focusing solely on students' instructional reading levels, and they weren't being exposed properly to grade level text. And so within that balanced literacy continuum, you have to have a balance of those levels. And so my administrative team, we read Reading Reconsidered, and the district was gracious enough to send us then to the training, and we brought that back to the staff too. And it was very eye-opening for them to see how important the complexity of that text was, the text selection. And as a campus too, that's something else that we're doing vertically, is we're really intentionally selecting text that's going to help scaffold them for success when they get to high school. We are looking at, you know, any kid could read corduroy. There's nothing necessarily complex about that. But if we gave them something a little more archaic like Paddington, it just has different structures to the language and things, and that's going to build them more for being ready to read, you know, Charles Dickens when they get to high school. And so we're looking not just at our text selection here, but what's really going to build, you know, their knowledge to be ready to, you know, read proficiently when they get to high school too. So those are some conversations that have been very eye-opening as far as that reading, which is one of our other weaker strands.